Parallel lines, what was you thinking? Welcome, friends. Today we're going to learn about parallel and perpendicular lines in relation to their slope. And one of the main skills that you need to have for this quiz is being able to look at a line very similar to our friend right here and derive what the equation is. So we have 4 steps to do that. Let's get them on the board. Step 1, what is our y-intercept? And if I'm going to look at this guy right here, I'm going to go exactly on this y-axis, right? And so I look and see where it's hitting the y-axis, and it's going to be right here. When I count, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3. So that means that my y-intercept is going to be plus 3. Now, if it was in the negative zone, then it would be negative. But in this case, it is positive 3. Step 2. Next point over, I'm just going to go from the point we're at all the way until I see another place where, bingo, where the 2 lines cross. So it's easy for me to read. If I would have stopped here, I don't really know exactly what that point is, but here I can see that it's what? 1, 2, and it's up 1, 2, 3, 4. It's easy to read, and that's why we're using it. So I'm going to mark that one right here as best as I can. Step 3. Rise over run. So now I'm going to check and see. I'm going to go how many up? I get 1, and then I go over, and I get 2. So my rise over run is going to end up being 1 over 2. Now that I have all the things I need, all I have to really do is put them together. So that brings us to step 4. Put it together. So I know every one of these equations that I'm giving you for the quiz, it's going to have a y equals something x plus or minus your b. Well, in this case, I know it's plus 3 from step 1. And in this case, I know it's 1 over 2. Boom! I got the whole equation in 4 simple steps. Now, some things to look at. As x increases, this line increases. So your slope should be positive. And it is. So we did it right. That's a quick way to check your work. I see a lot of people getting confused about that. Moving on to parallel lines. Okay, so this is what we were training for. If I want to find out a line is perpendicular or parallel to another line, I first have to know what the equation of that line is. So, using our skills, let's find the equation for the green line. I have my green steps here for this green line, and I have my blue steps here for this purple line because there is no purple. So, step 1, find the y-intercept. I'm going to go here and boom, it's right there, and it's at positive 2. So I'm going to put that on the board. I've got plus 2 with my caveman writing. Now, I'm going to go up and find the next point. I go. Oh, it's right there. Pretty close. So that's ready. I'm just going to put a little check there. Number 3, rise over run. I'm going to do this one in yellow. I'm going to start at my y-intercept. I'm going to go up 1. I'm going to go over 1. Boom. So it looks like our rise over run is 1 divided by 1. So then finally I put it all together. I get y equals. 1 divided by 1 is just a singular 1, which you don't have to write next to the x, but sometimes it helps people. So 1x plus 2. Boom, we did it. Now let's look at this purple line. All right, step 1. I'm going to find my y-intercept, and it's down here. So since it's below the 0, it's going to be a negative number, and that negative number is 1, 2, 3, negative 4. Next up, I'm going to go to the next point, and it's also closed, which makes sense because these, spoiler alert, are parallel. So I'm going to put a little check. We found it. Now I'm going to do this one in yellow. I'm going to do my rise over my run, and I get 1 over 1 again. 1 divided by, well, it's not the right tool, but we're just going to roll with it. And now I've got y equals 1x minus 4, because we have that negative 4. Okay, are these lines parallel? Well, let's find out. Key to parallel lines is same slope, different y-intercepts. That's the whole thing. So when I'm looking at these two, I see that, okay, I have 1x, that's my slope. And then I have 1x down here, same slope, perfect. So now I'm just going to highlight my y-intercepts. Are they the same? Are they different? In this case, they're different, and therefore, these two lines are parallel, meaning that they will never, ever touch. And if I wanted to write a new equation that was also parallel to this, all I would have to do is y equals 1x, and then I can add, subtract anything. As long as it's not the same line, if it has the same slope, our m value, and a different y-intercept, then it's going to be parallel. Therefore, I could leave this the way it is, because y equals 1x would be parallel to both of those. I could say plus 100. I could say minus 100. There's so many possibilities. Let's move on to perpendicular. The key to perpendicular lines with slope is flip it and opposite sign. The slope, that is. Now, we're using something called negative reciprocals. That can sound confusing, but it's actually not so bad. So if I have a slope of 2, well, flip it. This means that we're going to take a fraction and turn it over. In this case, I've got a whole number, but remember, I heard this yesterday, every number has a popsicle stick. It's my favorite thing. So when I'm going to flip it, I'm going to get 1 over 2. And then opposite sign, I'm going to make it negative in this case. So I went from positive 2, I found that it has a popsicle stick, a 1 underneath, and then I flip it, 1 over 2, and I make it negative. Another example would be, what if I had negative 1/3? Well, in this case, we don't need to deal with any popsicle sticks, but I'm going to flip it. That would give me 3 over 1, and then I'm going to take that negative and turn it positive, so we're done. I get 3 over 1, or 3. So let's try it with some actual equations. Okay, I want to draw a perpendicular line which crosses at a 90-degree angles from this, just like the two on the left. Okay, I'm going to first, I have a whole number, so I'm going to make a little popsicle stick. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to make the opposite sign. So this is a positive 4, so I'm going to go to a negative 4. Now, this is my slope, so I might as well throw an x on it. We know there's going to be a y equals. And now we're pretty much done, because the magic of the perpendicular is that the y-intercept doesn't matter. This is wholly fine on its own. I wish this equal sign would have come out when I drew it, but it didn't. So it is what it is. But the y-intercept can be anything. I can have minus 200. I could have plus 33. I could have plus 5. You can just keep it the same. But as long as the slope is switched, flipped, it's all good. Quick 2 practice problems. Okay, for this one, I'm going to make a parallel and a perpendicular line. And for this one, I'm going to do the exact same thing. These are the shorthand for parallel, 2 lines next to each other, and the shorthand for perpendicular. So, in order to do this first one over here, if I want a parallel line, all I'm going to do is change my y-intercept. So this thing has got to be different. And so I'm going to say y equals 5 divided by 3x. And I'm done, pretty much. I've changed it, but I could also change it to minus 8. I could change it to plus 10. So many possibilities, right? Next up, if I want to make a perpendicular line, I'm going to have to flip it and make it the opposite sign. So I have a positive 5 over 3. I'm going to flip it so I get 3 over 5. And it's positive, so I have to change it to a negative. So now y equals negative 3 over 5x. And for my money, I'm done. I don't have to do anything, but I could add plus 7, minus 1. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So now I've got a parallel line. This changed. And I've got a perpendicular line. This flipped and made negative. This doesn't matter with the perpendicular line. So another example over here. Okay, I got to change my y-intercept in order to make it parallel. So I'm just going to go y equals negative 2x. I'm done, but I could, I don't know, plus 48. Who cares, right? And then I'm looking at my slope. I've got negative 2. Remember, popsicle stick. It's so cute. I'm going to flip it. I get 1 over 2. And since this one is negative, I'm going to keep this one positive. So now my new equation is going to be y equals 1/2 x. Again, I'm good. Don't need to do anything else, but just for fun, let's put negative 16. Thanks for watching. Bye.